Hello friends, welcome to my shop again today where I share great ideas. The first bandsaw box I made had a unique way of doing it. You may have already seen that. If you haven't, go to the previous video. I had this other piece of driftwood that I wanted to make a box out of it. I cut the bottom of this piece off here to make the base for the first bandsaw box. So anyway, I had it here and I thought, oh, why don't I work on that one? So there's the idea here is in all bandsaw boxes, usually they're made out of just laminated out of wood, and you have parallel front and back sides, and it's quite easy to do. But if you take a piece of driftwood or something like that, you're not going to get a flat surface. So the first thing I did, of course, is cut off the back. This is the back of it. I cut it off as straight as I could, but it's not perfectly straight. So in order to get a flat back, because when you cut these out, you want to be able to pull them out easily. And if you have the back's not flat and it's a little bit crooked, you may get some that aren't perfectly like you want them. So what I did here was I just took a piece of plywood and tacked it to the back here with a couple nails. So now you can see the back. Okay. Now being that I didn't want to draw on here for the things there, I just started here and started cutting these pieces out. This was a knot here, that's why it's not driftwood style. But I did actually have a little idea what I was going to do. I took if you're doing something like this, you might want to just take a piece of cardboard or something like that, draw some circles on it, and get a cutting method so you just don't start and then get stuck in the middle and, oh, what am I going to do now? So anyway, it worked out even a little better than I did. I just, once I had the idea of where I was going to cut, I just cut and slowly letting the bandsaw do the work, and you can only, and keeping the radius within the cutting radius of the bandsaw without rubbing or burning or anything like that. So now I'll continue it just like the standard bandsaw box. I'll cut the back off, and then I'll get it up here so you can see it. I'll cut the back off, then I'll cut the front off, and cut the center of the box part out, and it'll all be glued back together. And then it'll be the back will be put on, and yeah. So anyway, this is so far here. I'll work on it here and show you what I did next. And okay, I've got one drawer cut out here. I'll just want to show you this right now. Because you don't want to make a mistake when you do this. So this is about one that I have to cut out. So you make sure that you have it in there, which one you're taking out, because you can certainly make a mistake here. And mark it the top, and it'd be a good idea to mark it with a back. And then to further emphasis, I'm going to show where I'm going to cut out the drawer there. So this will be cut off, the back will be cut off, the front will be cut off, like I did this one here. So this is a traditional way of making a bandsaw box, is you have that piece that you take out, you cut off the back, you cut off the back, and then you cut off the front piece, and then you cut out the center of your drawer. Then of course the back is glued on, the front's glued on because it all matches. I'm going to take and sand this surface here to make it nice and smooth here. And I probably will, since I have this sander, I'll probably slice this smooth, so I can sand the front and backs of the drawers, so it'll be all nice and even inside there. And then, of course, and then lightly sand the outside. You don't want to take off too much of the outside or of the inside in here, otherwise it will leave a gap there. That'll fit in there. Of course, that'll be the drawer in there, and it'll be back in there, and your front, of course, will fit right in there. So it'll look quite nice there. Anyway, I'll just continue on the rest of these, but making sure that I mark what's the top. That first bandsaw box, I cut one of them upside down, and you don't want to have an upside down drawer for sure. So be really careful if you're got a really nice piece of wood, and you can make a mistake pretty fast if you don't really be careful about which way the drawer is orientated. So I'll just continue on here, and actually I've showed you most of it, so you're probably looking for more of a finished project now. Well, I just thought I'd show you how I cut it out, just in case somebody hasn't done this before. You pretty well have to just hold it. If it's irregular, hold it with your fingers. Try to put a finger underneath so it doesn't rotate. Just check it, and okay, I'm going to go to a little smaller bandsaw here to cut out the center of the box, and just reminding again, make sure you have the top, written top, and then make a line and cut it out. You don't have it right. You only got one chance to do this right. Just the same as the other one. Front goes on this side, back goes on this side on this one. Anyway, I'll just continue and do all of them like that. Last night during a Netflix program, I glued all the boxes together. You have to put the glue on, then just hold it with your fingers till it sets up. So you can get the pieces aligned quite well, but made one mistake, and I had to correct it this morning, so I was thinking I'd show you what I did. And because we learn from other people's mistakes, at least we should, and even our own mistakes, so we don't repeat the thing in there. But anyway, when I sanded down one of the boxes here, I sanded this flat on the belt sander, and also the back of this, so I have a nice smooth inside of the box there. And then it's just a matter of putting glue on here and gluing it together. The only trouble is, when I sanded it, I got a little bit crooked So when it went into when I put it in, it stuck out a little bit, sort of like that. So, well, oh no. So to correct that, I had to take it on the bandsaw and separate it and then resand it. So if you're building one of these, you should put each box in just with your fingers and hold it and make sure it lines up. And then you won't have to cut it apart and redo it. So anyway, now, so what I do to do this is using some of this Gorilla Glue thing. I've never tried it before. Just put a little bit of glue on that, sort of like that, if you can see that. And I use my finger to spread that out there a little bit. And then just put that on and clamp it with your fingers, using your other fingers to line it up. So I guess I'll just have to, since I'm out in the shop, I'll have to listen to the radio here for 10-15 minutes while I hold this. But if I would have done it right the first time, I wouldn't have had to redo it. Anyway, I'll get this finished and we'll be pretty much ready to put the back on after this and show you a finished product. Well, here's my finished product, and I'm basically quite pleased with it. First time I've done something like this out of driftwood. I've made one out of just laminated wood, but this came out quite nicely decorated with the driftwood appearance, shape, and color. And as you can see here, that it's you get the back side as well. It's not finished wood anywhere around. The only place it's finished, of course, is on the top here where that's cut off. Just gives some very interesting texture. So I hope this project that I've done has given you ideas to give it a try. See when you're around the beach picking up different pieces of wood. It's quite possible to make a nice a jewelry box or box for something else. Anyway, just I'll show you a couple of other things that weren't in the first video. You need little pulls on here. So what I did is took another piece of weathered wood there, as you can see, and to make that I just took, it was actually a tree branch, and cut a little section off, drilled a little hole in the back side of it, or one side of it, however you want to say it. And then I took a screw, wood screw. I used a gyprock screw because they're quite thin, and then put epoxy in the hole, a little epoxy on the end, and stuck it in the little hole, and waited for it to dry well, and then just drilled a little hole in the front of the box here with a smaller drill, and you just turn it in by hand here. I could actually move this, of course, still, but you just put it at the angle you want, and you got a nice little pull there. So that's another idea that you can capitalize on. So did that on all the drawers, and I'm quite happy with that. Wasn't sure what I was going to do when I started out, but I thought that was a good solution to the problem. Another thing is when you cut this out, you always end up with a gap there, and you don't want it to sag right to the bottom. You like it to be kind of centered. And you can see this in here. I've just taken a piece of tape. It's Gorilla tape, and just added it on there. You could actually be probably a better idea just to put it onto the bottom of the box, and then you don't see it, and then you can make a spacer to set it up. And the other thing that has to be done is, of course, your drawer is going to get a little shorter, so you have to cut a little piece of wood and just glue it to the back. For some reason, when I opened that up, I mustn't have glued it, but because it didn't stick there. Hot glue would be an excellent choice for that. Just a little bit of hot glue. Then when you put your drawer in, it comes to the right place. And I might remind you again is to, before you glue your drawer together, put them in, make sure they line up. This was the one I had to cut apart. Now, the others ones are acceptable, but not as perfect as I like. This one out a little bit on the top. This one's out a little bit on the bottom. And this one's pretty good, and this one's pretty good too. Another thing that I've done is I've taken and put flocking inside the drawers. It's very, very easily to do. This is navy blue. You can get it in all kinds of colors. Super easy to do. And the next video, I will show you how to put the flocking in. And there's a few good ideas there too that you might want to capitalize on if you're doing flocking. So you might want to watch that as well. And just for variety, on this one I changed to a gray color, but it should work out okay. So that's about it, and hope you enjoyed watching this video and the ideas that I've presented, and it'll give you something to think about and maybe give it a good try. So thanks for watching again, and subscribe. I'm sure I'll have more ideas on other types of projects and various things I do.